Greetings, friends. I wanted to discuss burning social capital. You build up social capital, good relations with people so that you can cooperate, so that you can get along in society. People who have a short temper, people who tend to fight frequently with people cannot maintain cooperative relationships and they find themselves isolated, and it's going to be harder for them to survive. When I work in this factory, I obviously have to communicate with a lot of people. I'm in charge of getting inventory items, so I have to deal with different people in different parts of the building, and these people have to provide me with things. And sometimes they're not too happy about it, so you have to be nice to people for a time, and that's what I did. And most people are reasonable in how they deal with you. Now, there's this one guy who cuts metal. He's this Asian guy, and I get along with a lot of the other Asians. You know, there's certain types of Chinese people that are like the really stubborn ones. He's one of those. Like, Vietnamese are included in that too. His job is just to put the trim or the post into this machine and it cuts it. It literally takes less than 30 seconds. I'm usually coming into him with trim, basically like a long aluminum rectangle, and it needs to be cut to a certain length because whatever we needed for the order they didn't have in stock. Or it's a post, and the posts are like these aluminum posts, hollow on the inside, and they hold up panels, because half of what the factory produces is panels for dividing office space. I guess cubicles. I don't know. I've never worked in that environment. He knows all the different lengths, because I don't know how many years he's been working there. I don't actually know if he's been working there a long time, but it's certainly long enough that he's settled into that position. He's the guy who cuts that thing all the time. And I'm not saying his job is necessarily easy. It's loud in there, and maybe they overload him with work. That could very well be, although it may be like that with some jobs in the factory. But overall, the factory is not a very difficult place to work. You're not being driven like a donkey in this place, although perhaps there are certain things that might frustrate people because of the lack of organization and the poor management, these kinds of things. But anyways, I'm just trying to say that, you try to have sympathy with people, and I was always nice to this guy. You'd only have to deal with him a few times a week. It might not be every day. It might be several times a day. To get to where he is the farthest walk. It takes like more than 5 minutes to walk from my end of the building down there. Like, he's literally the farthest point that I would have to go to get something done. And often he's not there, or he's too busy, so you got to leave it with him, and then you can come back later. But he's always complaining, like, no, we have this piece after all. And then I go looking for it, and I can't find it. It's like, no, we actually didn't have it. Or actually, once recently, he cut something the wrong length. It's not because he doesn't know, it's because he wasn't paying attention. He literally wasn't paying attention to me. But he was this guy who actually started to take a liking to me. Not take a liking to me, but I could tell that he accepted me as someone, like, he didn't dislike me, and he even maybe acknowledged me a few times. With this class of stubborn Asians, if they acknowledge you, then you've gotten something gold there. You've gotten something rare. I mean, that's nice, but he continued to be difficult, and there was always just unnecessary things that he would delay or complain about, and basically he's complaining to me about things which are beyond my control, which he should just explain to his supervisor. I mean, he knows that's not going to do anything, but he takes it out on people like us, I guess because we're just the messenger, basically, so shoot the messenger. And it's not fair, of course. I generally have a pretty thick skin, but this has been going on since June, and that's about 7 months that I've been in this current position at the factory. I've worked different positions there. This is the most relaxed one because you're not really supervised at all. You just walk around and do a few orders, and you're very familiar with all the different things in the factory, and perhaps I can parlay that into the office at some point, but we'll see where it goes. But right now, that's what I'm doing. And after 7 months, on Friday, I was going there near the end of the day, and we don't know all the lengths of things that need to be cut. We should know this by now. And the guy was telling me, like, you need to write it down yourself, even though he knows all the different lengths. Because there's a guy we go to who wraps the trim or wraps the post, and he's the one who gives you directions, like, okay, let's cut this one down, take that one from the stock and we'll cut it down, and then he'll write the precise length. Metal cutter dude, the story is about, he's telling me, well, in these situations where the other guy's not there, because there's been times when maybe he's been sick or maybe that other guy was on holiday, the guy who would know the correct length, he would write it down so the metal gutting guy could get it right. And in situations where he's not there, we have difficulty because there's no one to wrap it, there's no one to tell us from what the correct lengths are. So metal cutting guy's like, well, you need to know the lengths. And so I asked my supervisor for the list of the lengths, and for some reason he didn't want to give it to me. I don't know why. Maybe he's had some experience in the past. I don't know what the reason could be, but he didn't want to give something quite logical to us. So that's a recommendation I would make. I had, even to be courteous, I had like an example of the trim I needed. Like, you see, it's this one, it's a B350. So I brought that all down to him. And then he's complaining to me like, it's not my job to write this trim down, or it's not my, if you need to write down the right length. I'm like, you know this? And he didn't deny it. He's like, you need the list. I'm like, I asked my boss, and he didn't want to give it to me for some reason. So I'm trying to cooperate with you, sir. I've always been trying to cooperate with you. But really, can't you cooperate with us? It's not that difficult, and I don't know why you're raising a fuss right now. Like, generally, I'm an easy guy to get along with. And, I wasn't saying that to him, but that's what I was thinking. And so he didn't do it. And this is getting near the end of the day, as I said, so... And I'm walking all the way back to the other end of the building, where I was finally, able to talk with other people who finally gave me the right length. But it just was unnecessary hassle, because you're always going to have to track down someone, and then maybe they can't help you. So, of course, I was able to get the right length, and on the walk back, because it takes a little bit of time, I was thinking to myself, should I burn my social capital with this guy? Because generally, you want to get along with people because you want to preserve a nice work environment. I'm going to have to keep cooperating. I'm going to have to keep working with this guy from time to time into the future. So if you burn a bridge, that could be difficult. But I'm thinking to myself, like, is it worth it? Yeah, I think it is worth it, because why not? I've been quite nice to this guy. I've been respectful, and he's just kind of he's really annoying, and not just annoying, it's like he's a jerk, basically. He's a jerk. He didn't return the favor at all. Also, when I got back there, he was saying whatever, and it's kind of a loud environment, and I probably couldn't hear anything, but basically, he thought it was funny. Like, he thought it was kind of funny. But by that time, I had already made up my mind, like, I'm going to give this guy a piece of my mind, and I don't care what happens, because this is about respect. You can have social capital for a time, but if you are treated in an undignified manner, then the question arises, is it worth it to build or maintain that social capital at the expense of your respect or your dignity? And by that time, I had decided, why not burn the social capital with this guy? In this situation, I think it's warranted. And I looked at him and I said, you knew the correct length of this trim. You knew! And you made me walk all the way back to the other end of the building to get this information. And for what? You knew. And he didn't deny it. He didn't deny it. Instead, he just got angry and he said it's not his job to write down the lengths or to know the lengths. But he didn't deny it. Like, he was saying basically it's not his job to write down the lengths. But he didn't actually say that he doesn't have the knowledge. Of course he has the knowledge. Everyone else in the factory was saying, oh yeah, that guy knows. Just take him. But he's just being difficult. So he didn't deny it, and he got really angry, and we just got into a brief shouting match. And he was like, tell your supervisor. And I was like, well, yeah, I will tell if you're daring me to, then I will. And I did tell my supervisor. Now, I didn't get the impression that my supervisor... He said, oh yeah, I'll talk to him. I don't get the impression my supervisor will. However, I do think I have enough respect in this place by now that if I kept bringing the issue up, then yeah, someone would have to talk to him. Basically, what I'm saying is, if this metal guy doesn't cooperate, then he's going to have some headaches in some form or another. I'm not threatening war against him, but I mean, if you're not helping us do our job, then that is grounds to raise the issue. So it's just stupid. Like, why would you bring this upon yourself for no good reason at all? And it was absolutely true. And I would ask him the same thing again. Like, I still don't know, like, why did you make me do that? I even brought 2 pieces of trim to show you exactly what I needed. But these stubborn people think that they can just disrespect you. But that's not what you do. You can allow that for a time when you're new in a place and you have to survive. But that doesn't mean that it's a good thing to always suck up the bullshit from the world, because then that could do things to your soul. Sometimes you have to take a stand. Not always. On certain occasions, burn social capital. Hasta luego, amigos.